This week, we talk about Josh's no good, very bad cemetery date,
Eddie's helicopter parent moment,
and Christopher's skateboard adventure with his two dads.
Have you ever watched something that completely rewired your brain chemistry?
A procedural network drama might not be your usual pick, but it's ours.
This is The Buddie System, a 911 deep dive podcast hosted by three friends who have DM'd each other enough character dissertations to earn a PhD in media literacy.
I'm Han, coming to you straight from the characters' heads.
I'm Sil, bringing you to the observation deck.
And I'm Rachel, connecting the dots with my red string.
With our powers combined,
No stone is left unturned.
And no buddy is left behind.
This episode is sponsored by the trials and tribulations of dating apps. Welcome to Dispatch. What's on call this week?
This week we are discussing Season 3, Episode 12, Fools. Written by Andrew Myers. He gets one too.
He does.
Directed by David Grossman, and the director of photography is our boy Joaquin Cedillo. Originally aired on March 23rd, 2020.
We have a few calls and a case of the week. The first one is the not so merry-go-round and round and round and round ad nauseum, where Sil just looks
she's so done. We just started.
Don't mind me.
Said Jesus, take the wheel.
No, I love watching your reactions. So in that one, three pranksters attempt to make their next viral video when one of them gets stuck spinning dangerously fast on a playground merry-go-round with the aid of a motorcycle that catches on fire. Our next one is Shoot First, Ask Questions Later, where Athena and Detective Romero are called to investigate the case of a woman who doesn't remember getting shot in the head a few months prior. And was that one funny?
I don't know.
You tell me.
I tried to make it funny, but I couldn't really come up with anything for that one.
So sure.
Alternate title was, Now How'd That Get There?
Oh my God.
That's worse.
If you think that's worse, wait for my next one. Which is First Date Faux Poo. Where a woman gets herself stuck in the bathroom window after an embarrassing toilet mishap during a potentially disastrous first date. And then technically there was, I think, the call that Josh made, but we don't actually see that happen. We just see the aftermath. All right, so what do we think? Do we feel like fools for watching this episode? That was terrible. I don't know.
Sil just left her body. Like she's not even there anymore.
I feel like a fool sitting here.
You know what? That's fair.
I think this is a good episode. It's kind of what was the one we said in our last episode where it's like no man's an island? Everyone felt like they were an island in this episode.
A little bit.
I know that there's, you know, scenes that we have together with like Buck and Eddie, and then we had, Buck and Josh and Maddie and Chim for a short scene. But other than that, it just felt like everyone was in their own little world or with one other character. And like normally we have, more ensemble.
More ensemble-y.
Yeah. I think the like biggest ensemble moment we have is the poo call.
Uh-huh.
Yep, everybody was there for that one.
Everyone had to be there. You
just had to be there. So yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a lot of fun. I was laughing a lot. I think I was having trouble like finding cohesive because like themes is more Rachel's thing, but like I try to keep it in the back of my mind. And I was trying to find some sort of cohesive theme other than fools or feeling foolish. And I was like, there's so much happening. I was like, there's so much happening and everything's so different that's happening. But I thought it was entertaining and good and moved everyone's storylines forward except for, well, I guess
people we didn't really get to see.
Yeah, I guess. And if they aren't, A, B, or C, it shouldn't really move their stories forward anyway.
Yeah.
It was an episode. I'm kidding. listen, I watched this episode like a little too much because I think because, just background info, like I think we've rescheduled this recording a couple times. So or maybe like I just watched it a lot. So I'm kind of like desensitized.
You're fooled out.
I'm fooled out.
Tired of these jokesters.
I really am. I don't know. It's a good episode. It's a good episode that where we get to see Buck and Eddie do the co-parenting, and then Eddie, trying to overcome like, some whatever he was like trying to, because, Eddie is always trying to be like a good parent, always. Mm-hmm. But, there are different approaches to it. And then what else do we have? I only remember the Eddie stuff.
Pork found in kitchen.
Selective memory.
But it really is just kind of like Eddie and Josh.
I'm like, do not leave that in. I don't want to be a hater.
And like a sprinkle
of Athena and Michael. Thank you. Because
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Like one scene.
Yeah.
Like I said, there are so many scenes happening.
But yeah, anyway, good episode. Glad everyone got their moment, as they always do in every single episode of this show. As you can tell, I'm so done with these fools.
Yeah, I thought this kind of like the last episode where it's a little more like, was the last one lighthearted? I forget. What happened in the last episode?
It's been so long.
Nothing. Nothing about this season is lighthearted.
No, this season's depressing as fuck, actually.
No,
there's little moments, but
I mean, that's what I was going to say, that this is, it's the second episode back from the winter hiatus. So I think it's still in this little like bubble of kind of not necessarily lightheartedness, but like before it gets really like, oof, for the emotional meat of the back half of season 3. If that makes sense. So it's like, it's still kind of easing us in where it isn't necessarily as depressing as a lot of the other episodes in season 3 are. So I think it does that pretty well. It keeps it a little like lighthearted. It keeps, things going. And it is kind of interesting because all of the storylines are a little more, I don't want to say like isolated, but just kind of like separate than we've seen previously. But I think Andrew Myers does a really fantastic job with Eddie consistently, and Buck, honestly, but we don't see as much Buck. But I think that's really, and I know that is the main storyline in this episode, but I do think that's where it shines.
I do feel like I enjoy a lot of Andrew Myers episodes.
We all do.
All the time.
Yeah. And a lot of them are very like Eddie and or Buck centric. So I think he really like I think all of the characters he has down really well and very consistently, because there again are these little like quips here and there that really breathe so much realism and life into these characters. I'm thinking about like the little quip that Detective Romero had when they were talking to the nosy neighbor, and she's like, yes, here's the list of everything, and I have the contractor's like number. Would you like it? He's like, yes. And then I would like to hug you. Like those things are just like so, it makes the characters feel so real and fleshed out. Yeah. So like that's always there, but specifically with like the Eddie stuff and the way like Eddie is handled in this episode is so good. Yeah, so I think that's generally, yeah, I agree with everything you guys said. Okay, now moving into Jaws of Life.
We're gonna need the Jaws of Life over here.
I didn't find too many. Actually, I don't think I found any articles from like this week in 911 history, but there was a quote that I found from an article that came out the week before from episode 11, and it's with Tim Minear, and the interviewer was asking, we started off in season 3 with a great Buck and Christopher storyline and the tsunami. Is anything else coming up with Christopher? And Tim answered, absolutely. There's a great Eddie Christopher story coming up in Fools, this one, where Eddie's going to have to sit down and have a very real conversation with his son, sort of in the way, but in a completely different context that Michael had to sit down and have a conversation with Harry this year. And I thought that was so interesting because I don't think I would have like really put that together to compare and contrast these two conversations, like father to son, because they're so different in context. But it is kind of very much a big life lesson sort of thing that Eddie or Michael have to impart on Christopher or Harry.
You know, like things shouldn't be different for you, but they are. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really loved that connection between that, especially in a season where we're really driving home. This is so much about parent-child relationships, and just to kind of have that two similar conversations talking about completely different topic, but in a similar vein, I thought was a really interesting thing to point out. And then, so for production, this is, I believe, the third episode written by Andrew Myers, the second for this season. And I know he wrote 314 or co-wrote 314, where, the people who beat up Josh and scammed him kind of come back into the story. So that makes sense too. And the director, David Grossman, I think this was the first one that he directed for 911, but he'll come back in season 4 and direct 5 episodes, which I thought was kind of interesting, especially because 4 was the shortened season. So that was only 14 episodes. So to direct 5 of them, that's pretty much like a third of the season. So we'll be seeing a lot more of his work going forward into season 4 as well.
Over a third of the season.
I was rounding. 15, 5, third, whatever. Slightly more than a third of the season, mathematically speaking. I don't know if you had anything for Needle Drop.
I don't.
Nothing of like
the
great
song
interest.
At the end's kind of weird, bro. Is Blue Skies by Noah and the Whale. It makes sense for Josh, but everyone else, I'm like, I don't know. It goes, this is a song for anyone with a broken heart, for anyone who can't get out of bed. I'll do anything to be happy because blue skies are coming, but I know that it's hard. This is the last song that I will write while still in love with you. This is the last song I write while you're even on my mind, because it's time to leave those feelings behind.
No, it pertains to Eddie.
Yeah,
but it doesn't make sense.
I think we'll get into it like when we talk about the Eddie Anna conversation, because that's where I would.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't know. It's just the fact that it's playing while he's doing the skateboard thing with Buck, where I was like, interesting.
It's okay. I will give you that. Like, it's a weird,
because it's also weird because it's like, blue skies are coming, but I know that it's hard. I don't think that it's the end, but I know we can't keep going. And it repeats that. I don't think that it's the end, but I know we can't keep going. And I'm like, what a weird message for this positive montage at the end of this episode.
I see what you mean. I think that kind of like, what did you say? This isn't the end, but we can't keep going.
Yeah.
Is that what
I know this isn't the end, but we can't keep going.
I think that kind of pertains to finding a different way.
Well, yeah.
like finding a new perspective, finding a different avenue. So it's like you might have reached a dead end this juncture, but like if you just look over, there's another path to keep going further. I think that's like the general vibe of like all of the Christopher stuff as well.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense for everyone, where it's everyone's doing stuff
a little differently
in a way that they shouldn't be doing, to be honest. Everyone's doing dumb shit.
Well, this is Fools, so
this is the episode for it.
But it's still at the end of the episode, everyone's still doing dumb shit.
Yeah, I think the placement is a little odd. Like, it probably could have worked a little better earlier in the episode, but I think
it was more of a sounding, like the way the song sounds,
the
is very
vibes,
upbeat, uplifting.
Yes,
but like lyrically, I was like, not what I would have chosen.
Yeah,
but I
which is so funny
because
I'm like, I can make those lyrics work, which is completely the opposite of our songs for Buddy Cannon. So yeah, that is interesting. I think we should come back to that when we talk about Eddie as well. And then I guess we can just jump right into our little red string corner. I've connected the dots.
You didn't connect shit.
I don't have a lot here, but I have a little Wikipedia moment. The more you know. So in this episode, Buck brings up Jim Abbott, who was a professional Major League Baseball player from 1989 to 1999, and he was born without a right hand. So this is an actual like true story. So just if anybody's like kind of curious, wants to know a little bit more, Buck like really glossed over it, but he was Jim Abbott was drafted in the first round in 1988. I think it was 8th overall, so like pretty high up in the draft, right out of college. He was a pitcher, so he joined the rotation of the California Angels in 1989 for his rookie year. And going straight from the draft into his rookie year made him the 15th player to ever make his major league debut without playing in the minors. So he just like hopped right on up ahead into the major leagues. Most of the time when people get drafted, they go into the minors, which is like single A, double A, triple A is like the top tier right before you get into the major leagues. So he just like bypassed all of that pretty immediately, which really shows how talented he was and how much the Angels organization like valued him. And so he did also pitch for the U.S. Olympic team to victory over Japan with a complete game effort in the 1988.
The only other country that plays baseball.
Australia has a league.
Okay. Did they have one in 1989?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Actually, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it was the 1988 Olympic Games in Seoul, and it was a demonstration sport. So they didn't actually earn like actual gold medals. They were like unofficial, but Jim Abbott pitched a complete game, which is all 9 innings. And then they won over Japan. And this was, I think, when he was still in college or like right after college, because he did the draft in 1988 as well. And Buck does mention that in the 90s, Abbott pitched a no-hitter. This was September 4th, 1993, when he was playing for the Yankees. He pitched a no-hitter against the Cleveland Indians. And that is basically, he got all strikes. Nobody got a hit off him. Nobody from the other team got on base, which is really hard to do. You don't see a lot of those happen. Anytime that happens, because you can have a shutout game where the other team doesn't score any runs, but a no-hitter when they don't even get on base, that is impressive. And I found a quote from him that I thought was really integral to this episode. So he said once that as a kid, I wanted to fit in, and sports became a way for me to gain acceptance. I think this fueled my desire to succeed. I truly believe that difficult times and disappointments can push us to find abilities and strengths we wouldn't know existed without the experience of the struggle. And I think that is one of the reasons why people look to him as someone who's just like very resilient and can overcome a lot of adversity and stuff like that, which makes it really connect to Christopher's storyline in this episode. And that was I found that quote from an article that had a lot of information about baseball players specifically who played with disabilities. And I thought it was really interesting. So we'll link that as well. And then I think just one little bit of foreshadowing that I kind of picked up on, where all of a sudden Buck's singleness is like kind of front and center and being addressed, as opposed to pretty much the rest of the season. Just, whoop, all of a sudden Buck hasn't had a girlfriend. And that is obviously to foreshadow Abby's return at the end of this season. And like we talked about in the last episode, with all of the rumors and news about Connie Britton maybe returning as Abby at the end of the season. And, when Buck is talking about online dating and he brings up like catfishes and liars, we know he has personal experience with that. all the way back in 110,
Mhm.
the season finale of season 1. And that's reminding us of Buck's experiences in that. But that's also when he and Abby broke up. So just kind of like a real kind of smooth, like, oh, remember catfishes and liars? Oh, yeah. Buck had some experience with that. And one of the reasons that I think was a catalyst for Abby's breaking up with him. Because he had to like go to her house and be like, that wasn't me. I'm so sorry. Please believe me.
breaking up with
She's
him?
like, I believe you, but I'm leaving.
She never broke up.
No, she didn't. He moved on, kind of.
Yay.
Maybe the song can also work for that as well.
Maybe.
I don't know. I can find ways to make it work. Okay. So
Themes?
yes. On to themes. I think most notably and quite obviously being a fool, as this episode is titled, Fools. And I kind of think there's like, they're all connected, but kind of like 3 different ways that we kind of see fool being portrayed, like being a fool being portrayed in this episode. So there's kind of like foolishness, which is like lacking good sense or judgment, doing things that are unwise. That's obviously like Shay's army. Christopher going on the skateboard is, maybe not the smartest things to do. And then there's feeling like or behaving like a fool, which I think is more connected to like the shame and embarrassment you feel for whatever you've done or however you feel, and sometimes connected to guilt. So you just like feel like you're being a fool. You feel like you're being foolish, but like even if you haven't necessarily done something like unwise, if that makes sense. And then I think there's also being fooled. So like being duped or deceived or tricked, which can lead to feeling like a fool. But I think that's someone else doing something to you to kind of lead you down a specific way, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going to add a secret 4th option. I think it's also kind of like overcoming the feeling of either being fooled, feeling foolish, and, all of that.
Yeah.
Because like you think about like Christopher feeling like, I feel like a fool or whatever, or like Eddie feeling like that. Like, how do you move forward? So that's my secret 4th option going in there.
Ooh. No, I like that. Like, okay, you feel a fool. How are we going to move forward? Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Then I think we have trusting or mistrusting your instincts. I think we see a lot specifically with Athena. She always trusts her instincts and they usually prove correct. But then we have Josh, who now after his incident with being scammed and catfished or whatever, he doesn't trust his instincts as much at the moment, even though I honestly don't think that he was given like any clear, red flag signs. So as far as he was aware, like he feels foolish, but he was trusting his instincts and they seemed okay. Then we have another theme that we see consistently, but especially with Christopher, is resiliency, or I think as we put it in the tsunami arc, like the just keep swimming aspect or the just keep fighting. I'd rather say just keep swimming.
Don't say that.
But
War flashbacks. I don't like it.
No. So we're no longer saying just keep fighting, even though that is some of the verbiage that's being used. But the just keep swimming, the resiliency, where it's like, having to adapt to certain situations or different things, like having to adapt to what's going on in your life or having to adapt to the way that, you are. Like Christopher has to adapt, being able, like finding a different way to use a skateboard. And he's not giving up, but he's just finding a new path there. So also in that same vein, like new perspectives. I think we've been seeing that pop up a lot recently as well. We also have lying and like truthful communication, or the truth will come out eventually. So whether that's lying to yourself, we see Eddie mention that. And I think I think Josh does a little bit about this as well, but also lying to others, like Joan's husband who shot her in the head and didn't tell her about anything. So the truth always comes out. And then we have our big relationship themes, right? This episode does focus a little bit more on romantic relationships versus solos. We see some instances of first dates or first meetings, if you will. And then there's also, not wanting to be alone or feeling alone in the world. Yeah, so I think we've also been seeing that theme of feeling alone kind of pop up now and then. And I think that especially showcases itself when you have people who are looking to be in relationships. So especially ones who are kind of envious or jealous of the ones who are in relationships, and that dichotomy there. And a little bit to kind of, I guess, follow up with the malfunction stuff with the technology and all that is human connection versus technology. In this episode, in this instance, it's mostly like a, meeting people in person, kind of organically. I think we saw that in the last episode with the guy who got crushed with the windpipe and the meet cute there. But like sometimes it can't happen organically. So then you have to rely on technology, and technology can lead you astray occasionally.
Okay, Eddie.
But it's also people using technology to allow them to lead people astray. So in that case, it still harkens back to people. Anyways, there's more I could dig into there, but this is not the place for that. And then we have, of course, our parent-child relationships, and specifically for Eddie and Christopher. In this one, it's the parent not wanting to disappoint the kids and also warring with being overprotective a little bit, and how much independence to not allow the kids, but seeing their kids like gain more independence. I think that's what I have. I think that covered most of it. That's all I could get. I was like, I'm sure there's more in here. Like I wanted to get more.
It was just
more out of
it. I mean,
like
there's a lot of stuff that you could pick up individually for people, but I was having a hard time picking out things that were like through threads for even like more than one person.
And that's what I was kind of trying to hone in on. It was like things that like covered most of it. I think it would be interesting at some point to go through and like individual characters and their themes for like over a season sort of thing, because not all of these themes from episode to episode necessarily apply to every character. I don't know. Maybe that's just a project for me. But
who's cooking?
I have a question.
yes, we have answers. Hopefully, maybe.
Do we need to talk about Athena?
I mean,
But like, what is there to say about her character arc? Like, because I don't think anything happened that moved her forward here. Like, there's just a lot of detective work.
I think it's I thought it was like the call with the husband, the whole thing about like you don't know who you married, and then like the thing with it's connected with the call, and then like trying to,
and it's connected to Michael.
Well, I get it. Like, I know what happened, but I just don't know like what, like how.
I think she's just trying to come like to terms on Michael's decision, because like that's the whole thing. Like she was like,
I'm
I'm
not trying
not
to come to terms. She's trying to have him not kill himself. Basically, she's like, I think this.
Well, I think she's trying to understand it.
Yeah,
because she doesn't like it. She did marry him.
I don't think she is trying to understand it. I think she was trying to like not so subtly, very overtly be like, brain surgery isn't even that scary or hard. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
okay, so
she can still fail.
Well,
Which she did.
she did, but I'm saying I don't think that she approves of his choices. And it's the same. It's just the same as where it was before, where she was like, "What the fuck do you mean you're not getting the surgery?" She's in the same place, and she's like, "I want to be supportive. You're being stupid, basically." And she's like, "I don't want you to die," and he's like, "I don't either." And that's like the whole conversation.
I think you have a fair point, because I don't believe it really moves her storyline forward. I don't think it really moves Michael's storyline forward, other than just kind of like, bringing back the fact that Athena and Michael were married, and the theme we have with Joan's case about Athena always bringing up, like, you never know what goes on inside of a marriage.
Sometimes even when you're in it. Yeah. And that's like the only
Exactly.
thing, though, that like.
So
Can we
I think
just
it's
use what we just said and call it a day then? Because I feel like we just talked about it then. Just make up an intro.
No, I was trying to like, why did I want to say like consensify? No, that's not a word.
Alexa. I'm kidding. I'm not going to ask her.
I know that one's not a word. No, I was just about to say,
Summarize?
I think, yes, that's probably what I was thinking of. I think I was just trying to say Athena might have been reminded of the time that she felt like she was being a fool or being fooled by Michael.
All right.
But also, so like seeing a little bit of herself in Joan and understanding what that feels like. So having that kind of being brought up as Michael is doing something that she thinks is foolish of him. So I think she's also a little bit foolishly trying to change his mind when she knows, like, he's like, just like Athena is pretty like, when she makes up her mind, she makes up her mind. So does Michael a little bit. And that's one of the reasons why they clash. But generally they work together really well. And I think we see some of that dynamic of why they were together for so long, and their partnership when, she's kind of debriefing him on the case and he's kind of like asking these questions, and it's like kind of like a repartee, like back and forth, almost like a little bit of a tennis match, which is fun to see. And then she transitions into, kind of making a moot point about, oh yeah, that wasn't brain surgery, wasn't so bad. And he's like, no, not happening. So he's being maybe a little foolish in his obstinance, but she was also being a little foolish in trying to think that she could change his mind, and also just like bringing back up like all of their previous history. I think that was the main part of that.
Okay, now make up an intro.
The intro can be, do we have to talk about Athena?
That's yeah, it's fine.
Not that I don't love talking about Athena. It's just like, I don't have character. If I don't feel like I have character analysis to analyze, I don't know what to talk about.
Yeah, it didn't move anything forward, but I think it was more of a like reflection on both of them.
I think that there's weird similarities, or maybe it's just weird in the way that like they're both really kind of heartbreaking in a way. Maybe not. Maybe they're not really that similar. Just kidding.
No, finish your thought.
And I was just thinking about like the mystery from the case from 704, where it's like, where is the lady's son? Because there was a home intruder, but she accidentally shot her son and didn't remember it. So
wait, that's so funny that you bring that up, because before I watched this episode, I looked at the summary on like Wikipedia or something, and I mixed up
those two
cases.
Yeah.
And I thought this was the episode with the lady who accidentally shot her son.
No, me too.
It's that heartbreaking. I accidentally killed my son storyline, and then Buck having his bisexual meltdown.
Wait a minute. Andrew Myers wrote Buck Bothered and Bewildered too. This is okay. So this is where we see some interesting through threads that the writers tend to kind of fall back into, or like things that they end up exploring a lot. So this idea of memory and memory. I don't know if it's like betrayal, trusting yourself a little bit. I think those are some very interesting themes that maybe we can look into more with his work going forward as well.
I didn't even realize, like, I mean, I know Andrew Myers wrote that episode, but I didn't even think of that connection. I was just like,
that's what I was actually
like, these
Googling
cases
earlier.
remind me of each other.
Oh, yeah, because it's so funny that you said that, because I mixed these two cases up and I forgot when the other one happened. So I'm glad you said it was 704.
That's so funny.
shall we talk about? I'm so glad we finally get to talk about Josh.
Me too.
Like, in depth.
They need to give Josh more storylines, actually.
Please. And not more, like, tragic
No.
storylines.
I hate the storyline.
I know. Like, I'm so glad we get to see more of Josh, but I hate
But
that,
at what
like,
cost? You know?
Yeah, at what cost?
Josh, so happy to be talking about him. I would like to start this section off with happy things.
Yes, please.
I love the scene of him over at, well, I guess it's just Chimney's, but Maddie's kind of, we never see Maddie at Maddie's anymore, so
no.
I'm calling it Maddie and Chimney's.
Are we just assuming that she just moved in and they never made a big deal about it? And that's it? Yeah.
I've been there.
No, because Maddie at the end says, like, here, you can come stay with me. But, like, I don't actually know if she means, like, with me
her
and Chimney.
or her and her place.
But, like, Albert is also over at Chimney's.
Oh, yeah.
Technically.
I
So,
don't
like,
know.
4 people in, like, a 1-bedroom apartment? Like,
Who knows?
2-bedroom? I don't know how many bedrooms.
She's over there all the time, though.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyways, it's basically their place.
Theirs. And I would just like to go on the record for myself saying that I think that Josh was flirting with Buck this entire scene. Because he was nice to him. which is something he has to, like, put conscious effort into. Like, he even said something that came out like bitchy, which Buck likes. But, you know, he did his reaction where he is like, hey, and he's like, no, like, but I'm also losing. Like, I don't know. It's just not.
I'm in the same boat.
It's just not normal Josh behavior.
I was actually wondering, is this the first time we see Buck and Josh interact? Like,
Yes.
Because I don't think Buck has gone to dispatch like he tends to do later on. So I think this is their first interaction. So
that we see, at least.
Josh had to put, like, his best foot forward just in case.
Because what would you think? Like, on any other show, like on a sitcom especially, if you invite your 2 single friends to dinner with you, a couple,
and poker,
and they're both single, what would you think is happening?
It's a setup.
Like, if I didn't know better, I think you were setting me up. Like, also low key thinking he's actually
like,
being set up. Like, please actually set me up.
Please set me up.
Yeah.
No, because I also feel like Josh would have absolutely trusted Maddie and or Chim to, like, set him up with somebody, right? Just because, like, they're those kind of people. Because also we kind of see a little later on that Maddie, when Josh tells her in the break room that, you know, you inspired me, so I activated one of my dating profiles, and Maddie's like, oh my god, really? Like, she is absolutely giving, like, one of those people who are in a relationship but are maybe a little overinvested in their single friends' love lives.
Yeah.
Like, tell me everything. What is it like out there? And it's just like, she would have totally set him up if she knew any other single people.
But and Josh knows how to read a room, aka read a bisexual. Like, I don't think he would have not have made that comment if he, like, thought that Buck was straight. But I'm just saying,
especially if it's your first meeting with someone and you don't know exactly, like, I think he's trying to feel it out a little bit.
Probably, yeah,
right. Like, gauged what the radar is saying, and the radar is saying, I'm cool with it. But we'll talk about that, I think, more.
No. But I just had to say, I really think that Josh was, like, low key trying to, like, shoot his shot here, because I was like, this is way nicer.
Yeah, in, like, a low stakes way. Yeah, in, like, a really chill, low stakes. Hee hee ha ha.
Like, I'm gonna make a good impression,
just in case.
Yes,
maybe. I don't know. You tell me. I agree.
Anyway, I love that scene. I think it's adorable. I think it's such a, like, classic tropey, like, again, sorry to bring up sitcoms again, but, like, a sitcom scene of, like, the, like, well-established couple being like, oh, you poor single people. Your life is so tragic, so we thought we'd invite you to dinner.
Like, we're doing you a favor. You don't have anything else going
you
on.
have no plans whatsoever on this lovely Friday night. You guys are lonely in this world.
If they're just like laying it on thick and they start laughing at like in Buck's face when he's like, "Where's Albert?"
Yeah.
They're like, "He's on a date because he's not a loser." It's just so funny.
It is so funny. And it's just like, and you can see like how Josh is like, he doesn't want to be alone. He would love to find someone. And he's just kind of like lamenting over that and saying how like lucky Maddie and Chimney got because they have each other and they found each other, because it's rough out here on like the apps and online because nobody is making like actual human connections, because he says everybody's on their phone or in their car or on their phone in their car because it's LA. And I mean, I think that goes for like just general statement everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Just everyone's on their phones and you're trying to like make these connections through this technology where it's like you don't actually know who you're talking to, because there are catfishes and liars and people who use Photoshop and all of that. So it's like, how can you trust? Like, it really kind of instills that theme of like, how can you trust your instincts with that one, like really early on? And it's so much easier to meet in person. But when you can't do that, you have to find a new avenue, right? And that new avenue for so many people, like realistically, is the apps. But it doesn't always work either.
And I think Josh did everything right. Like, if you lay out like what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to like talk to the person, get to know them. He had phone calls with them, met them in a public place. Like, it was night. I think that was maybe the only thing that I would have done differently, is like, it was night.
But there were plenty of people there.
But it was nighttime and it was a graveyard. Like, I might have been like, if we're going to meet at night, like, let's go into like a indoor overhead lighting situation.
Yeah.
Not a graveyard, but I get it. Like, it was a cool date idea. I just maybe wouldn't have like met someone there for a first date, but also I'm a woman, so.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is also because his date, who I don't think we learned the name of at this point in time, is also, you know, putting out these kind of trustworthy like vibes.
Yeah.
Because he says like, yeah, it's out in the open and there are plenty of exits. So like, it sounds like he would have thought about that too. But like, we know for a slightly different reason.
Yeah.
But like, I do think Josh's instincts were on point. He was doing everything right. The person sounded like they were who they were, or seemed like they were who they were, actually spoken in full sentences, which is a green flag. Just generally.
Had things on their dating profile in full sentences. That was the clincher.
That indicates like an actual person.
Yeah.
And he says like, it didn't seem like they were a chat room psycho. And I think that's true. And I think that really shows how master manipulators can, you know, use the guise of being a normal person so well that it will go under the radar of person's like most sophisticated instincts to like actually look out for that stuff.
Yeah.
Because nothing that Josh was given there was nothing to pick up on for the red flags, because there were no red flags on the play. It was so well disguised.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing too that like bothered me about whatever his name is. He was like, "Ooh, you didn't read any of the signs." It's like, what signs, bro? There were no signs.
Congrats, you did such a good job, like pulling one over on Josh and probably other people before that. Like,
yeah.
So I think he takes that to mean that like the sign was that someone was interested in him.
Yes, that is exactly what that means. And that's one of the reasons I think why Josh says later with Maddie that he doesn't give like the full information for the police report,
which is
because
stupid.
he doesn't, which is so foolish.
Dumb.
But
that was the reasoning was just so, and like he's like traumatized, so I'm like giving him a pass somewhat in the situation. But just to be like, well, like I don't want other people, like it's so embarrassing to be like made a fool and other people to like read the police report. I was like a couple police officers. I was like, think of all the embarrassing shit that you hear as like, and you're not thinking about it like after it happens. Like you deal with the thing and you move on.
It's like what I get that you work at dispatch, right? But like, who is really going to look this up? You know, who's going to look up this police report? Like, unless like it's someone very, very close to you or someone like super nosy, but like the likeliness of like having that, on record and then like someone wanting to look that up is kind of like, so yeah, it really is stupid that he didn't.
I just think he wanted to deal with it.
Exactly. He wanted to really like kind of brush it under the rug, which is also not how you deal with things, which we've seen that come back to bite people in the butt.
Oh, yeah.
And we will see that had he made that police report, the taking of dispatch may not have happened. But I don't think you can put it all on Josh either.
No, because it's like the profile was gone. So like it would have just been a physical description and like a fake name.
And who knows if they would have caught the person. Yeah. But
then he still could have been like, well, I did what I could have instead of what if I had.
He's already he's taking on the blame for not seeing the signs when it's so unnecessary because there were no signs to be seen. There weren't even any like yellow flags. It all seemed so copacetic, but it's because he didn't see any of that. So he is all of a sudden like his trust in his gut is so broken at the moment, and he feels so ashamed that he would fall for that. Even though it's literally not his fault, but he's blaming himself for delude. I think he thinks that he thinks himself so foolish as to believe there was actually someone who liked him for him and not just like a manipulation or like a way to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Like that's really got to rattle your brain. And I do think Maddie was kind of the perfect person to pick him up and meet him at the hospital, because with her experience with Doug, and we know especially from the last episode, Maddie is in such a better place that she is truly ready to kind of like move on because she's dealt with things. She did that exposure therapy with Frank, forgiving herself specifically, so she understands about blaming herself for something kind of similar and feeling at fault and not seeing the signs. And she says, you just trusted the wrong person.
Yeah.
And sometimes there are no signs to see. And sometimes, and this does go back a little bit to Athena's case with like, sometimes love is willfully blind. But at some point it has to be a little bit, because you have to be able to like find a way to put your trust in someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, there's I think a little bit of like some gray area between those. Like you just trusted the wrong person or you were willfully blind. I think there's like a way that it can be a little bit
I think
of
it's
both.
a self-confidence issue of like this like destroyed his confidence, like, because I think that was just his issue in dating to begin with, probably was like self-confidence. Like obviously all the issues he listed, but like I think there's insecurity there for whatever reason he has. And
she doesn't need to. He's great.
No, but like I'm saying he has that insecurity, and like that person obviously like played into that insecurity and triggered that. So
yeah, somehow it made him, I don't want to say like an easy target, but just like a prime target, I guess.
Well, he was really like putting himself out there, and trying to get over those self-esteem, self-confidence issues. So like having all of this happen is just like, now it's like even like a bigger blow on him. And it's, we don't even see him, like we won't see him like find interest in someone until like season 5. That really sucks.
Like Josh deserves happiness. He's so cool. He has such like a good sense of himself.
He's a good egg.
Like he is a good egg. Like he says to his date, who is a bad egg, about how his job at dispatch is so stressful and he'll never be recognized and he'll never be rich, but he will be worthwhile because he gets to go home and help people. Like that is just a good person, and good people deserve good things. Yeah. And Josh deserves good things because like that's like such a good head on your shoulders type of thing to say. It's very realistic. He understands what his job is.
Mhm.
He's great at his job, but he just doesn't have a lot outside of it. And he has to deal with that and the want to not be alone, which is difficult just in general.
Yeah.
Anyway, give Josh a boyfriend, 2K25.
Boyfriend, or just give him storylines because like he's been like relegated to being the like funny, sassy gay best friend. And like I just think
he's good at that.
Good at that. I just think that he is such a much more like interesting character that deserves. And Brian Safi is amazing. So just like give him more
and hilarious
things to work with. Like I'm not saying like make him a main. I know there's not space to make everyone a main. But like give him some storylines.
Yeah, and it's like and Brian Safi is just like so funny.
Yeah.
Like and we know Josh is funny. Give him like some actual like something to chew on like comedically for his comedic chops. Like please.
I need him. I need him and Eddie to interact again. It'll be fun. It'll be funny. It'll be great.
That was peak.
It was peak comedy.
It was
like become friends against their own will.
Yeah. Give me that.
Enemies to friends.
Yeah.
Reticently.
Yeah. Yes.
Like
frenemies.
Buck is getting a new friend, so
I'm just saying.
Give Eddie a new friend.
For real. And I think one of the other parts that I remember about Josh, the storyline or the episode, because it was just one episode where he was helping with the like the strategy in the big shipping yard and how he was doing like his Sherlock Holmes like Mind Palace impression. And I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
And it really showed like how Josh's mind works. And I would love to see more of that too.
Yeah.
I forget what episode and what season that is.
I know what you're talking about.
I always think of that. Yeah. And then I think just one more thing. I wanted there to be a reason that they were watching Young Frankenstein at the the movie at the cemetery. And I didn't really get a chance to look into it more. I mean, Young Frankenstein is so funny. It has Gene Wilder. It's a Mel Brooks movie.
It's one of my dad's favorite movies.
Oh my God. It's so good. Just like any Mel Brooks movie is fantastic. And I was trying to like figure out if it was something that I could relate back to like the idea of fools other than like they're all pretty foolish in the movie because it's a Mel Brooks movie.
Yeah, just kind of broad strokes.
Yeah. Anyways, I just thought that was funny.
Speaking of divas.
Everyone's favorite closet case. I'm gonna have a hard time with character analysis in this episode, guys. It's literally, I'm just like, you're gay. Whole episode, I'm just like, you're gay.
Are we saving that for slow burn stuff? Or are we talking about the queer coding in the Eddie stuff? Because like, I have things to say and I don't know which section to put it in.
I don't know. We'll just put it in slow burn for now.
Okay. So this will just be like
the Christopher stuff.
Yeah, because the rest of it is just him.
So sorry.
Why are you sorry?
It's not your fault that he's also a basket case. I mean, sorry, was that too mean?
Just accurate. Oh God. Okay.
Edmundo.
Eddie.
Yes. Edmundo.
Something about.
This man already stopped going to therapy. Like he's done already at this point, right?
Probably
gonna go back again after a couple episodes from now.
He better.
Like off screen, if anything. Like everything else that happens to him. Sorry.
Well, he got plot A in this episode, so pretty much.
More of those, please, in season 9.
Yeah. Where do we start with Eddie? I do think. Okay, here's where we can start. This.
All right.
Sorry, I'm done.
I'm done. It looks like Rachel's not done.
Trying. Okay. It's fine. Christopher and Eddie. This is about Christopher and Eddie, this episode. It's about their relationship. It's about Christopher. So that's what we're going to hone in on the
in
Eddie
this section. I do think that it's funny that he had to have a chaperone to go to parent-teacher conferences. And I'm calling it a chaperone because I feel like she was like, no, I have to go with you or you're going to be mean to all of these teachers with their jokes.
No, but
Surprised no one loved the jokes.
Oh.
I'll get back to you on that. But like, no, it's funny. It's funny because of, I feel like Eddie has a type A personality, especially when it comes to Christopher, because if you remember in that episode where he punches the guy,
yes,
and how like, you know, he's very detailed about like all the things that Christopher needs and like that email that he sent to that parent. It's because Carla knows that he is just going to go off on every single fucking teacher about Christopher. So like, yes, she had to be there or else it was just going to be bad.
I think you're absolutely right. And I also want to bring up, because that happened in Rage 305, and I want to bring that up a little later too. But yeah, it's so funny because, again, Eddie, competent, confident, Eddie, so out of his depth at a parent-teacher conference night.
He can't act normal.
That man cannot mask to save his fucking life out of school.
He can go into battle in the army, but he can't deal with teachers' stupid punny jokes. And he gets so nervous. All of his insecurities are resurfacing, and it's all related to him not thinking that he's enough.
Yeah.
And wanting to be enough for Christopher. Because again, it always goes back to Christopher. He wants to be enough. He wants to prove to the teachers that he's enough. Oh God, that he's enough, that he is a capable parent for Christopher, because how many times has he been told that he's not by his parents?
So, which is funny because once we get to Anna, right, she commends him for like continue reading to Christopher and keeping that up.
Yeah.
And as soon as she like gives him a compliment, he's like, oh, yay. You know, like I'm a good parent and someone notices that I'm a good parent. So he
relaxes.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying.
That's exactly it. I wrote that down too, because it's just like he is immediately put at ease because it's about, like, of course, the night is about Christopher and how well he's doing, and he loves hearing that. But
he just wants to know that he's doing a good job.
When he gets the external validation from someone who doesn't know him, complete third party, and tells him that he's doing a good job, it's like he trusts strangers' opinion. And I think we see this a lot when sometimes Eddie ends up like blurting things out to people about like his inner life. It's not to the people that he knows usually, it's to like random people. So I think he almost like trusts like strangers' opinions more than he trusts himself and his own instincts, right? Or at least strangers in the fact that like they know Christopher, so they can extrapolate what Eddie does for him, which I think is kind of interesting.
I have a thing to say that is an addendum to this, but like we can't veer off topic into the queerness because it would be very easy to jump.
We can bring it back,
but I think it's not just like because it's a stranger. It's because it's someone who his parents would think is perfect. Specifically because it's a very feminine, put together Latina woman and
tasked with taking care of Christopher.
Yes. So who could judge, who it literally is there to like judge the merits of his kid, and therefore he sees that as like a judgment of himself because in his eyes, no matter what these people say, like Christopher's perfect. So like any bad behavior or bad performance is going to be Eddie's fault. Or shortcoming of his, right? It has nothing to do with Christopher. So I really think it's just like about his.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
It's so interesting.
He's had to spend so long fighting to prove himself.
Yeah.
And this parent-teacher conference is kind of a similar, it's almost like a battle for him to have to like sit there and like hear all of this stuff. And like anything that again, what you said, anything that Christopher does that is maybe not like super perfect is he finds a reflection on him. And I do think it is so interesting too that this is like the first time that he's doing the parent teacher conference, because it seems like, you know, Anna says to Carla, nice to see you again. Nice to finally meet you, Mr. Diaz. So it's like, is it just like a schedule conflict because of his job as a firefighter that like has precluded him from doing this? Or is he like prevented himself from going to these, and maybe Carla finally convinced him?
This wasn't a conference, right? This was just a parent teacher night event, right?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
That's what I thought. Like, I thought it was one of those like open house events, you know?
Okay, that's probably what it was.
Still
I
call
think
those parent-teacher conferences
those.
because it is still talking about like the performance of your kids. It's just not a specific, hey, there's a thing we need to talk about, and scheduling specifically.
Like a parent-teacher night, kind of like a progress report.
Yeah, because it's like you're meeting with each individual student's parents as opposed to like a...
That's got to be a really long
night. That is really weird.
Well,
anyway.
I think when you're an elementary school teacher, you're teaching one class of like 10 to 20 kids. So,
maybe the classroom is, or the class size is actually probably smaller because this was a special school as well.
Right. And you had separate teachers for separate subjects, which you don't normally get in the States until middle school. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is probably smaller class. It is.
It has to definitely be.
Yeah. But it's just so funny because it's just like, he looks like he's going to school and is so nervous, and it's his first day, and like Carla is that life jacket for him.
Yeah.
And I bet you if Carla wasn't available,
oh no, Buck would be there 100%.
Yeah. So really, like this was. I mean, at the end, it instead of really about Christopher, it was really more like about Eddie.
Yeah.
Eddie and his parents
and his performance of being a parent. Yeah.
Yeah. And how judged he feels, and
his inability to put on a mask when he's not getting paid for it.
I think his anxieties were just too high to be able to.
I mean that too, but he just was like, I cannot be asked to pretend that any of these jokes are funny.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to stare dead-eyed into your soul. I hate every second
I'm sorry, but the chemistry one was actually kind of funny.
It was.
It was
and
funny.
He asked. Like, you asked for that one.
Like, no jokes? No, so like part of me kind of thinks that he kind of loves it, but loves to hate it.
I would. That's what I do to you guys.
He puts up with Buck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just not Buck telling the joke.
I am the teachers. You guys are the Eddie in this situation. You're just like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm. He probably really loves it on deep down. That's why he asked for it. Mm-hmm. He's just like,
yeah. Well, it's also like something that he started to come to expect, right? Mm-hmm. And he likes that kind of routine.
How many ways can we call a man autistic without calling him autistic? Anyway, the movie done from the parent-teacher conference, I think.
And then we go straight into Chris's skateboard incident. So like he's back. Eddie has to go back at the school, back to the school.
He doesn't have to, actually. He doesn't have to go back there.
That's true.
Carla just was keeping him updated on the situation, but was like, and everything's fine. But Mr. Overprotective was like, I think the fuck not.
I was like, protective parent mode activate. Yeah. And still, I'm glad you brought up Rage earlier, because this is where I kind of keyed into it, because it seems a little bit like a leftover from Rage with how like vehemently defensive he gets and like protective over Christopher. Because again, when he punched that guy in the park, it was because he was insulting Christopher, and like completely needlessly. It was absolutely stupid. So his anger got the best of him, and it was him protecting his kid. So we see this again. Obviously, I think he learned his lesson and is not going to be throwing punches at the
He's
teachers.
throwing verbal punches.
But verbal, exactly, not physical. And but it is a little bit of a holdover from rage. Like, this is where it comes. This is where his rage bubbles up, is when he has to be protective dad mode, because something that he did or something that he didn't do allowed his kid to get hurt in some way, which is the last thing he wants to do. And I think usually he's a little better. We've talked about this before. I think usually Eddie is a little better at allowing Chris his independence. But when something like this happens, it just like parent brain takes over, and it's just like, no.
I did think it. I mean, listen, I understand that he was in overprotective mode, and, you know, the temper and the defensiveness and the protectiveness kind of got the better of him. But I just think he was a little, and I'm glad Chris wasn't there when he said this, but when he was like, oh yeah, let's pick on the disabled kid, I was like, bro, you put him in a specialty school. Like,
yeah, like again,
why is that your first thing that you're jumping to? When, like, you literally were in a parent-teacher conference where she's saying your kid was popular. Yeah. Everyone loved him.
Yeah.
So why is that the first thing you're jumping to?
And again, I think that is like his insecurities coming up. I think there's a little bit of like that rage, which again is directed outwardly, but I think is really focused on himself, because I think it's a bit of an, like we see with Eddie so much, where he might seem angry at someone else, but when you get down to the brass tacks, he is angry at himself. So I think it's an overcompensation about Eddie not being there for Chris getting hurt, Eddie not being there for Chris again, one of those things. And when he says, like, you let them make a fool out of my son, Eddie is the one being foolish there.
Yeah.
And not honest with himself.
It's that projecting thing he does.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I think he feels foolish for trusting Anna so quickly.
Okay, because I saw this earlier. But like, how are you? I think you're supposed to trust the teacher.
You're supposed to trust the teachers in the school, especially the one that you specifically picked out to take care of your kid.
I don't think it's an Anna thing, actually.
No.
Explain that to me.
It's him not being able to trust that he put Chris in the right place where he would never get hurt, and him not being there when Chris got hurt. It all goes back to him again for not being there and not trusting his gut, that obviously this is like, oh no, this isn't the right school because they let this happen, sort of thing. So I chose wrong.
But he's so honed in on this my kid was getting bullied thing, and I'm just like,
it's so illogical.
It's so illogical. Your kid didn't even say anything about getting, like, you didn't even, and before he even talked to Chris about it, and he's like calling the principal to like get the kid who had the skateboard punished because of bullying before even talking to Christopher about what the fuck happened.
That is a type A.
It was telling you crazy behavior. It was crazy behavior. Like, my parents have definitely called the principal about bullying after I told them about the bullying. Like, they didn't just assume that, because I was an accident-prone kid. They weren't just like, oh, my kid has scraped knees, so obviously someone shoved them down.
So it's the same behavior of not talking. So, like, I mean, in a general way, he's just not talking, and he just like assumes things and makes like these decisions like that he always does, and it's like overcompensate. I already said overcompensate, but I'm going to say it again. So he's just overcompensating. He's like, and I feel like he's like trying to. Again, this is going back to the type A. He's like trying to like check the boxes and make sure that, you know, this can be prevented, because he's like, what else could I have done to prevent this from happening? And that's why like he needs to take that control of that situation because of that type A. Oh my God, this is so crazy.
And it stems from this guilt complex, because he also is so mad at himself for not being honest with himself and honest with Christopher about, you know, Christopher isn't like everyone else and can't always do things the same way. I think he does a lot of the right stuff with not telling Chris, like, Chris, you have limitations, because that's such like a limiting like frame of mind. Like that's just bad. So I think he does a good job in not doing that, but then he, I think, feels so guilty for not being like a little more realistic in getting these things across to Christopher, that like now it reflects back on himself, and Christopher tells him like, you told me I could do anything but you lied. So that's another just like dagger to the heart for Eddie for something else that he did wrong, and he's being told that by his kid, and that makes it even worse.
When you think about it, like what else happened this season? The tsunami, the bad dreams, the like, it's just like every little thing that's been happening to Christopher, it's like it keeps just adding up throughout. It's like, even that this, like, honestly, this in comparison is so minuscule.
Yeah.
He still takes it to a whole other level.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
And again, it is also him overcompensating as well for being the only parent that Christopher has, because we see, you know, when he and Anna are talking during their parent-teacher thing and talking about how, you know, Eddie has continued to do the reading to Christopher and help in that way, like Shannon did, even though Eddie attributes all of that to Shannon. Like, they are still so very much in like the not getting over, in like the trying to find a balance, find a new normal without Shannon, and like Eddie is pulling double duty, not like he always wasn't, but he feels, I think, like an extra pressure on top of all of the other pressure that he's felt.
I feel like when he says that, he makes that comment, it's still part of that whole like not feeling it, like he's enough. Yeah,
exactly. He doesn't give himself any
credit.
He doesn't give himself any credit except to take the blame for everything. But nothing he does is good or good enough, because anything like that, it has to be somebody else, because I'm not good at that. I can't have done that because that's good.
Oh my God, I hate his fucking parents.
Oh my God.
Another reason to hate those two.
They did a number on him.
Fucking sure. Yeah. I also feel like some of this type A overbearing kind of shit is learned behavior from Helena.
Oh, for sure. Yep.
Yes. And it was probably not redeemed, rewarded, but like, sorry, it's still Mercury retrograde. Like insisted upon, built upon with his experience in the army as well. With how regulated everything has to be. So I think that's kind of like spurred that on a little bit as well, or kind of like a holdover from that. Like, to me, that kind of like the type A OCD-ness in like a general term, not necessarily like actual DSM-5 way, but like I think those connect very easily to each other, and is something that like he's kind of just ingrained in himself. Yeah. Oh my God.
I mean, when you're raised to kind of like take care of be like a step in for your dad and like take care of like your siblings at 10 years old, I mean, that's really going to put a number on you.
Yeah. Also, just slight tangent, another reason why I would love to see Sophia and Adriana at some point, so we can really see like
dynamic,
how they turned out.
Oh yeah.
Because that would have so much more Eddie influence. And like, we know Christopher has turned out so fantastically. Like, can we see that? So then we can really start to parse out like where Helena and Ramon's influences start and stop, and where like Eddie's influence as a parentified child really like pop in there. And I think that would just be like really fascinating for character studies. Please.
Yeah.
Give it to us.
Well, I mean, I don't know if we know that Adriana is the younger one, or we just assume she is.
I think
whoever the youngest sister is what, 9 years old?
Yeah,
younger.
I think
so like they were only 10 when he joined the army.
Yeah.
So they've been unfortunately mostly in their very, very formative, teenage years, been Helena and Ramona.
Ramona?
Helena and Ramona. I was like, something was wrong with that.
You're like, I don't know what was wrong, but that didn't feel right.
It's Mercury retrograde, guys. Leave me alone. Yeah. Anyway.
So when they're back at the house after Eddie, picks up Christopher and is like, no, we're done here. We're going home.
He's like, school's not over. I don't want to go home.
No, I know, which is also kind of so funny
dramatic.
because it's kind of like the tsunami thing where it was like they have to go to the beach to kind of, get over that hump of the fear of the tsunami. And it's just like, you're kind of instilling like, well, because Christopher is like, I don't feel well, trying to do the Ferris Bueller's like.
Yeah, he did the opposite of what he wanted, what he would have wanted Christopher to like take away from that situation.
Yes.
Was like, I think Christopher was feeling fine, like maybe feeling a little silly, but like he felt fine and wanted to keep going. But because his dad made such a big deal out of it, he was like, I feel
because of his
stupid.
reaction.
And I was like, I don't think any of the kids made him feel that way.
No, I think it was a little bit of Eddie's reaction to pull him away and be like, no, well, we can't deal with this right now.
Yeah.
That instilled some of that guilt or shame or feeling of foolishness. But again, that all comes from Eddie's insecurities. And I do love the conversation that Eddie and Carla have when they get back to the house about, how Christopher is different and Christopher knows that, but Carla prompts Eddie to like have a conversation with like what that means. And I think that's a very important distinction.
Like, no. And then it comes out that it was Christopher's idea, and then she just starts laughing, which is so valid.
Karma, babe. Like,
she's like, what did I fucking tell you?
I do like that Eddie is so insistent that he's not going to tell his kid that he has limitations, because that's just like such a kind of harmful mindset to have.
No, but you have to be realistic so that your kid doesn't get hurt and doesn't have unrealistic expectations of like, yes, I can do literally anything I set my mind to, because that's not actually true. Everyone has limitations.
Which is why I think the conversation that they land on at the end of the episode when they have the heart to heart is
such a good way to approach it.
Good conversation, because it's all semantics. Like, he doesn't say you have limitations. He just says there are things that you're gonna have to do differently.
That's all Buck, man. He came to that conclusion after having that conversation with Buck.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can talk about that too, right?
Yeah, because he goes to Buck and is like, I have to talk to my kid about this, and I don't wanna. I was like, I have to tell him the Easter Bunny isn't.
Oh my God.
It's so dramatic.
Oh my God. Can I just say, for Buck to say, hey, I think you're overcompensating here just a bit. For Buck to say that
gotta be
is hilarious.
So far off the reservation. For Buck Buckley to be like, I think you're overreacting.
Exactly. And it's just like, I mean, in this instance, we're just talking about like friend to friend, like the way Buck like speaks to Eddie, because Eddie is taking this one little incident and he's magnifying it so much. It's like, oh my God, I have to tell him that the Easter Bunny isn't real. And it's just like, that's not the point of this, my dude. And like, Buck saying you're overcorrecting. This is I'm gonna call you out for overreacting. And it's just kind of another example that of the advice that Buck gives Eddie is spot on, and Eddie is actually able to take it and utilize it and put it in ways that make sense for him.
Yeah.
In productive ways, because Buck also has
said, let me use a sports metaphor.
And I love that Buck came up with this metaphor and bringing up Jim Abbott and his story about resiliency and practice and finding ways that work for you even if it's not what everybody else
Yeah.
does, because I think in this instance, it kind of connects Buck and Christopher together. And I think we've spoken about this just a little bit when Buck was going through his rehab for his leg and he wasn't able to do things like normal and he had to find kind of like different ways to do it. And he always has Christopher's best interest at heart as well. So I think that really spoke to Buck, and he knew from it speaking to him that it would also resonate with Eddie and Christopher. And I think that's just like such a beautiful like piece of advice and wisdom that he's able to impart onto Eddie.
Yeah.
And it's so kind of like point blank. This is there are no like metaphors. There's no ways to interpret this really that Eddie could go sideways with.
Oh yeah.
Right.
No,
it just makes sense.
He's always very like straightforward with his with his advice to Eddie. And that's why it works. But it's just like Buck is the perfect person to give advice for this, because Buck is like the founder of where there's a will, there's a way. And it's always been for himself, right? But now he gets to like take that and turn that into making that the case for Christopher too, because, you know, he's giving Eddie advice, but at the same time, you know, at the end of that conversation, Eddie's like, well, I'm not really sure how to like take that and like apply it to skateboarding. Right. And you can already see the wheels starting to turn in Buck's head because it's like, OK, well, how do I Jim Abbott this for Christopher? Like, that's the moral of the story, not like, oh, well, like you can still do most of the things you want. It's like, no, you can do anything you want. Like, we just have to find a way.
It connects to like taking on those or finding new perspectives, finding new paths to get you to where you want to be. It may just be like a little more windy road than others that might be more of a straight trajectory. Like it can still work. And that still helps Eddie avoid the idea of limitations. Because that is what he has been so adamant about not putting on Christopher. And I think that is very important. And that indicates like how good of a dad he is, that he's like, I'm not going to tell my kid that he has limitations.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put those words in his head because that will make him limit himself.
Right.
And this is the perfect compromise for that.
Yep.
It's not limitations. It's just like doing something differently. It's so good.
I don't know if this is something, but having Buck being the person to give Eddie this advice, I think about like the conversation that he has with Christopher in the first episode of season 3 when they're on the pier and he asks Christopher, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he's like, oh, I want to be an astronaut or a pirate. And, you know, like those are things that are, or a firefighter.
Yeah.
And those aren't really things, you know. Well, the point is like he never at any point says you can't do that. But he's like, but he will say something around the lines of, if it doesn't work out, I hope you find something that you love, something that you can do forever. I don't know, just food for thought. Like,
no, that is completely like on point. And I think you brought it back to episode 1. I think also in episode 2, where they're on the fire engine raft, you know, after the wave has come in, and Buck is talking to Chris and is like, I don't know how you do it. How you're basically that talk about resiliency. And Chris is just like, you know, just keep swimming. So I think that also really helped clue Buck into how Christopher thinks as well. And that Christopher thinks that he can do anything. So this in essence is Buck just underlining what Eddie has already made a foundation of.
Yeah.
He's just building upon that in like a really beautiful way.
But you can do anything, just there are different ways to do it and get to that end goal. Yeah.
So basically, like, this is exactly what Eddie says to Christopher when they have their heart-to-heart the morning after. And also, we have our serious conversation, coffee table blocking, that I don't think we've seen in a while. But if you remember our couch theory episode, our Couch Theory special, that comes up a lot, and it's very much like someone's on the coffee table, someone's on the couch, and that indicates serious conversation. And this is a serious conversation, and it goes over so well. And you know, Eddie is talking about, you know, there are some things that like you can do better than I can do. It's not that I can't do it, but like you can grow plants and I kill all of them. And which is also just a funny lore drop. But when you get to like the root of some of the issues, like Eddie doesn't want Chris to be scared. And I think that's because Eddie is always scared for Chris, that he doesn't want Chris to live like that, and to be scared, because he's got that covered for him. Like, be fearless and I'm going to worry about you for you. Right. Yeah. and this compromise, which is so beautiful. It's like, you know, you can try new things. This time it didn't work out. Maybe next time it will, or we'll find a different way, but let's try new things together so they can collaborate on what will work for Christopher, so he can do something that he wants to do. And then just like that ending line of, you're not like any other kid, which has been instilled this entire time. It's, you're my kid. And I think all of Eddie's pride in himself lives within Christopher, which we know.
I love them.
Yeah. Do we need to talk about when he goes back to the school and talks to Anna, or is that all in the queer coding? Well, I think he does. When he goes back to the school and apologizes to Anna, I think that is a nice gesture, because he did overreact.
Yeah.
And he's kind of taking accountability for that.
Mm-hmm. And she's very gracious about it, because she's like, I'm supposed to be looking out for your kid. So she isn't like, yeah, you were crazy. Which I would have said.
She has to deal with crazy parents all day. Like,
yeah. But I do not super love what she says, because I just feel like it's the antithesis of like the whole conversation he ends up having with Chris, you know, from the spirit of the conversation Eddie had with Buck. I feel like it's very much her just being like, well, some things you can't do, but like, because like physically you can't do things, but like intellectually you're so smart. And I don't know. It just felt a little ableist to me. And I don't know if that was like her intention or like the intention in the writing, but it is always comes off that way to me, where it's like, I don't know. I just don't feel like a teacher should be limiting a kid in that way.
I see where you're coming from. I think there are a few reasons that it is the way it is. I think one of them is to show like maybe a slightly different approach to the advice that Buck gives. So just like a different perspective. I think the idea is good, where it's like, if you try something over and over and expect the same results, that's, you know, insanity basically. And that's not good, because you're not getting anywhere. So I think there is some value in what she says of like, you can try something and then just say like, it's not for you. I think,
but I don't know. That's not the spirit in which she was saying it. 'Cause she was like, it wasn't, because he was like, yeah, just get back on the horse, or you might not like horses. It's like, well, how would you, it's like, oh, you failed, so give up and do something that you'll actually be good at. That's the message it's giving. And I don't know if that is the intention. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the message it delivers feels inherently kind of ableist, especially coming from a teacher. I don't like it.
I think in that aspect, my issue I would take up with that would be like, why are you equating a physical activity like skateboarding to a more intellectual activity or a more intellectual venture? Why not find something like a little more on par? But to me, and I guess this will maybe help us transition into Slow Burn, to me it almost seemed like, I don't know if it's like necessarily in the text, but just like the way it was given to Eddie in this way, I always took it more speak to Eddie than actually to Christopher. And I don't know
in the
if that was like,
for sure, but in the text, bad.
Yeah.
Subtext advice, great.
which I think I just find it's so interesting to look at it in a subtextual manner, knowing some of the things that we know will happen in season 4, especially with Anna, and the intentionality of some of the storylines and where they were going in season 4 originally. That is so interesting to me. I guess this is slow burn now. Did we have anything else?
Anyway, what a gay episode.
Oh.
So much queer coding. And then
One would
like Josh. So much gay.
Like we're mostly talking about Eddie and not the canonical queer.
I mean, I just threw that in to say like we're in slow burn, so we're talking about like the not canon mostly. Yeah. But like this was like a hard launch of queer Eddie.
If you didn't think so before,
what?
Boy, do we have news for you.
What? Andrew Myers.
Where did we
my man.
I know, Andrew Myers.
He's always found at the scene of the crime.
The scene of the queer crime. Like quite literally.
Especially the subtext kind, when you really think about it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And for Eddie. Specifically.
No, he got everybody in here. He got Josh, who is canonically gay. We've got Buck, and he again will write Buck Bothered and Bewildered 4 years later, and we've got Eddie. All of them are queer. Like,
no, I was like thinking
Andrew Myers.
I was thinking about, you know what I was thinking about? I was like, I wonder how he felt when he got the news that he was going to be able to write 704 or like the.
He probably.
Do you think he threw a party?
Probably. I would. I hope he did. He deserves it.
I hope he did too. Yeah.
He's like, my whole life's work on 911 has led to this.
No, like actually,
let him write the canon
episode
for Eddie.
Well, think about it. He also wrote Confessions too. So like,
yes.
There's so and again, I said at the very top in our general thoughts, like there's he handles Eddie so well. Yeah. And I think one of those reasons is because he handles him with the queer subtext. So like not obviously, but like so infused.
He said, I will not handle you with kid gloves, but I will handle you with queer ones. Like
the rainbow.
So
the rainbow Mickey gloves.
Everything about Anna and Eddie in this episode is so
come on. Like every time I see something like this, you know, that GIF or that little clip from like Happy Death Day where the girl's in a time loop and she's just like, you're gay.
Yes.
That's how I feel so much with Eddie. I'm just like, you're gay.
He's so gay.
So let's start with Eddie and Anna's meet cute, which was set up as a meet cute, right? And I just think it's so interesting because this meet cute happens also in an episode where we're talking about relationships and being single, right? And that's going to come into play again with basically Buck later on. But the way that the camera was shot and the way this frames Eddie kind of doing like a double take when she enters the classroom is like classic rom-com, right? And
the flusterness?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He is flustered. And it looks, and it's kind of played like he's kind of smitten right off the jump, like, oh my God, like love at first sight sort of thing. Obviously, that's not what happens.
Your grandpa's name is my favorite. He's
God, he's
mine too. No game. None.
No
riz.
Zero game.
He has negative 1,000 riz with women. He's just so pretty that it doesn't matter. I fucking guess.
See, with Buck, it doesn't matter because he has like the charm.
He has the awkward charm
to compensate for it. Yeah. with Eddie, it's
just awkward.
He is, and he's so flustered,
Yep.
and it's just like because he's already like slightly insecure, and it looks like he's smitten off the jump because he like sees her in immediate heart eyes, right? And to me, I think that it starts laying down a lot of specifically demisexual Eddie evidence because I think we all kind of read him as demisexual.
I do anyway.
Because he and Carla joke like that he didn't even notice that Anna was pretty, but he did notice, and that was like part of the joke. But the thing is, like with demisexual, like you can
Notice
acknowledge when
people are
someone is
pretty.
like attractive and pretty, like he has eyes.
You can be flustered by people that you don't have romantic attraction towards.
Yeah, and it's like, well, I think he starts feeling a connection there, right? When Anna guesses his name right, because most people guess that it comes from Eduardo and not Edmundo. So there's already like, there's an immediate connection on a personal level there that I think it can start building off of to indicate like, you know.
Yeah, and I think the whole seeing that he's doing his best as a parent is another like one of those connections. Like she compliments him.
Yes.
Tell me how great I am. That specifically makes me attracted to you when you tell me how great I am.
And it's so funny too, I think, because so he sees her and she is very pretty and he's able to acknowledge that, obviously. There's the start of a personal connection and just between them, like outside of Christopher, and then her complimenting his parenting for Christopher helps like foster that a little bit more. Like it gives a little spark to that flame, kind of, that I think, you know, he will be really holding on to. So when Eddie is speaking to Anna and he's able to talk about Shannon from more of a quote unquote healed place, but also like, is it though? Because again, he's minimizing his contributions and being self-deprecating.
I think all of this attraction to her, other than her being obviously gorgeous, is literally him just being like, oh my God, someone my parents will love. Like it just comes down to that for me, which is just a gay thing. Cause like people don't normally, you're not normally like, oh, look, a hot person. My parents will approve of them. So on.
Like, she really is the perfect woman.
Perfect one.
Yes. She's a teacher. She has a stable job. She's nurturing. She cares for. She already has experience caring for other children.
Yeah.
Like she's Latina and she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No, I think it's so interesting because pretty much immediately Eddie sees pretty, you know, all of the things, all of the attributes that you guys just said, like parents, someone that his parents would like, someone Latina. So like they have a common like background. But I think pretty much immediately he starts projecting, especially when she compliments him on his parenting, he starts projecting onto Anna the fact that she is another woman in the role of taking care of Chris.
Yeah.
To me, that kind of means that Anna was always built and illustrated to be a little bit of a projected Shannon stand-in, which we see again in Kim. But like she doesn't look like her this time.
Oh my God.
It's just and I think that is one of the reasons why he gets so angry at Anna when he comes to school to pick up Christopher after the skateboard incident, because he is also projecting disappointment about how another woman in the role of taking care of Christopher allowed Christopher to be hurt and let Christopher down and let Eddie down. He's taking all of that Shannon stuff and putting it on Anna a little bit, like from the jump.
Please go back to therapy.
But he sees her as like, obviously not right now because she is currently his teacher. So there's like nothing. They're just like building a moment, a point of connection that they'll be able to build upon later. And I think that is also one of the reasons, again, demisexual Eddie.
Yeah, this is my thing. When we say demisexual Eddie, I think we agree demisexual but homoromantic, because this is the thing, is I think that he can feel attraction and enjoy intimacy like on a surface level with whoever, but like he only has romantic attraction of like, you're my soulmate, I'm gonna build a life with you and co-parent to my child in perfect harmony with a man.
Yeah. Because I think we see like he can be attracted sexually to women, and that's why he's been able to have sex with Shannon. And I don't know that we actually see it with Anna, but Marisol.
No, we don't see it. I think there's a comment.
Yeah.
There's a comment. And the other thing.
Yeah. But it's very much like, and this is another thing to me that screams gay, because like he'll see someone pretty and feel a physical attraction, but then like further down the road when like he meets her again and he makes that relationship happen, and he even says it with his own fucking mouth, which is just like, Christopher loves you so much, I just thought eventually I would, because it's just, he doesn't understand why he can't feel like a normal person does. Like he probably thinks he's broken. Because he's like, why is it like I find these women who are beautiful and perfect and then I can't love them?
I can't make a relationship work with them. And it's because of that. And also on top of just like that base level about his sexuality, he is projecting a lot of Shannon onto Anna and his idea of, you know, because she's a teacher and she is literally, her job is to take care of Christopher. Like to him, that's just like, yes, equals mother. But not in the like yas way.
I wasn't sure if you were gonna do it.
Wow. And I don't know, because this happened off screen. So I don't know if Eddie told Buck about Anna and like the attraction there, or what more likely happened in my head, which is Carla told him about it in front of Eddie while making fun of him. And then Buck just continued this while on the poop call, bringing up like Eddie met someone special and then yelled at her, and now she'll probably never talk to him.
No, I was wondering that too. I was like, did Eddie, because like we know Eddie tells Buck everything more than he tells anybody else everything.
But they don't talk about like relationships being attracted to people, wanting to date people. They don't talk about that.
Interesting, actually.
But it is so interesting that Buck is so clued in to what's going on in Eddie's like love life.
And he's like, betrayal.
No, because we also know how much Eddie likes to keep things separate, right? And Buck is kind of that weird like gray area always. Because Buck knows so much about Eddie, but like Bobby is right there, and Eddie doesn't need Bobby knowing all of that stuff. And the way Bobby reacts to this too is so funny. It's just like Bobby is also nosy and like wants to know about these things, because he's like, oh, you did? Like, wow, I didn't hear about this. And then is like, oh, really? Like,
so why is the trend, because now I'm thinking about it, right? So why is the trend that it's usually around the ending of these relationships with Eddie, does he actually like talk to Buck about them? Because like he doesn't talk about like his like, I'm thinking about like Marisol too, you know, like,
it's like he wants the permission to leave. Like he feels too guilty to leave, but he also is like, but if Buck tells me that it's the right thing to do and gives me the permission to, like, he can feel less guilty about it.
Yeah, because like with Marisol, it's like I don't want to. I don't even remember really too much of the conversation.
I don't want to move in.
I don't want her to move in anymore. And then like with Anna, it's the whole like they have that whole thing about like, oh, you know, my kid loves her, and then Buck's like, well, is that enough? Like, you know, like that whole thing. It's usually around the end, or the downfall of the relationship,
which is really interesting. But I think it also plays into we keep talking about this, when Eddie makes these big decisions, he does them without any extra input, so he tends not to tell Buck about them. And it's not just the relationship stuff. It's like the
Moving to
it's
Texas.
Fight Club.
Yeah.
It's moving to Texas. It's all of that stuff. So I think
leaving the 118 to go work at dispatch.
Exactly. I think his relationships play into that a little bit as well, because I think he's trying to do it on his own, because that is what he thinks that he has to do. And he also, maybe on a subconscious level, knows that Buck would tell him to not do that, or to give him a piece of advice that would dissuade him, that he knows logically would dissuade him from doing that, which he wouldn't allow himself to do because he has to do what he thinks other people want him to do. And Buck has his best interest at heart. And he knows that, I don't know, I think it's just another way to punish himself. And Buck is his out.
Literally, yeah.
Please.
Let
him be your out. Oh my God.
Of the closet, anyway.
Anyway, speaking of being in the closet, there's another interaction with Anna that is so insane when you look at it with the queer coding lens.
Yeah.
Where he's talking about like getting back on the horse in reference to Christopher, right? Like, just trying again when you fall down. And she's like, yeah, or like you could realize that you don't like horse.
And this is so insane.
And I was like, you know what? Save a horse, ride a cowboy. Literally.
Yeehaw.
Because Anna's the horse in this part.
So yes, please save her.
Please.
Oh my God.
She should have saved herself.
I know. She
some part of her knew
should have had more self-respect.
Nope. I don't know. Maybe she thought there was something and then was like, maybe not. Because like he's still single and not with anyone who is a man, and decided to shoot her shot later. I don't know. Mistakes were made.
It's kind of similar to Josh in the way that like all of the flags were green and she was not really given any other indication otherwise. And it's like, she would make this work because he's a great guy and he's got a great kid. And obviously like they're great. And like, why wouldn't it work? It's perfect on paper.
So this is a bad,
right? In theory.
So this is a bad parallel.
I can't wait.
No. Well, I mean, no, really, this is just probably a bad parallel. But like, I'm thinking about like the call that Athena, or the case that Athena's on about like, you don't know who you marry. You don't know who you're in a relationship with. And this applies to like Josh. This applies to like eventually Anna.
It does. I thought it applied to Eddie and Shannon too. Yeah, because it goes. I think it cut too. Directly from that scene to an Eddie scene. I think
it did.
I went.
And again, like so much of this episode for Athena, it was reflecting on her. It's reflecting on her relationship and her marriage with Michael, who is gay.
Who is a gay man.
Who is a gay man and was married and has children.
Who she married knowing, but then ignoring that he was gay. So interesting.
Oh, Andrew Myers. Crazy work.
Still, that's not really that wonky of a parallel. Like,
well, not wonky. I just think that it's one of those things that you have to like peel back all the layers, and you're like, am I too crazy? But
no,
I'll make it work for me. Yeah.
And it's just like, it's so crazy, that line about there's a lot to be said on getting back on the horse, but there's some value in learning that you don't like horses. It is putting that subtext right in our faces.
Complete foreshadowing.
It speaks complete foreshadowing because it comes from Anna.
Yes, and she's saying it as like the potential love interest as someone who would be getting back on the horse after his wife died and was going to leave him, so he would have been single regardless whether she died or not. Mm-hmm. So this would like this is not on purpose.
It is 100% on purpose. It is crazy of a line. and I alluded to it earlier, but because of where we know that they were intending to take Buck and Eddie in a queer direction in season 4, or like
starting in season 4. Yeah.
Or like starting to like they were really laying the groundwork, and they just like, oh, would you say they were limited? Like, so they had to find another way. That other way is ABC.
Oh my God.
Meta. Whoa. But yeah, just crazy work for that to come from Anna, who is set up as the love interest, and especially the love interest that we see again in season 4, when they were, intentionally building up the buddiness of it all. So, I mean, I think we should definitely talk about the Buck and Eddie co-parenting stuff.
I was going to do that at last. I mean, there's the individual Buck queer coding too, like in the scene with Josh, which I feel like we kind of touched on a little bit from Josh's like side, but he was fine with the flirting that was happening, if he picked up on that at all, which I feel like he probably did, but it's just like, this is how friends
interact with each other. This is my new friend Josh,
because he flirts everyone.
I don't know. It kind of also reminds me when our buddy Elf kind of was like, oh, you have an adorable son. He's just like, yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah,
like, know, like he's like not phased at all.
He was even less phased by this.
Yeah.
And like, I was just going to say, and Josh being like, if I didn't know better, I think you were setting us up. And nope, didn't blink, didn't make a face, nothing. It's just like, this is normal.
He's an ally, Han.
He's such a great ally. Yeah.
So great. But like, even when Maddie says like, I wouldn't do that to Josh to set you up with my brother, and Buck's only protest is like,
he's like, hey.
Oh, hey.
Like, I'm a great date. What do you mean? I'd be a great boyfriend.
Not the why would you set me up with him? No. And it's just like,
no, doesn't like brush it off, like roll his eyes because like obviously it's a joke because I'm straight. Like nothing.
Yeah.
None of that is behavior of like a man who is straight.
Yeah. And but then Maddie is also like, and I love you too much to let you go on with your tragic, like singledom and whatever. So it's like, so was this a setup or not?
Maybe low key.
So weird.
Maybe she was like, I'm gonna low key
suss it out.
Maybe she was trying to suss it out because, like, you think about like the boy crush on Eddie.
She's made those comments before.
She's been new.
Yeah.
She's known from the
and also like, oh, I love, when she says to Josh, oh, I love you too much to set you up with my brother. It's kind of like, maybe she just knows in the back of her mind. She's like, it would not end well anyway because Eddie,
he's obsessed with Eddie.
Yeah.
And he's co-parenting a child with him.
Yeah.
Like mentally he's taken.
Yeah. It would just be for funsies.
Maddie and Chimney should be like a little more like, straightforward, ironically, with the like, don't you have Eddie to go hang out with? But later on, we also see Maddie telling Josh, I think everyone has a match. You just need to find them. And this kind of like worldview is echoed in 807 when she tells Buck, the universe will bring you someone really special. So like, it's a nice, consistent like Maddie moment, like character moment, but it's also just like this is what she actually thinks. Everybody has a match. You just have to find them. I think she thinks and knows.
She thinks it's Eddie.
She's Eddie.
Model is Eddie.
The universe will bring you someone really special.
The way that woman was behaving in 811, she was like, oh my God. She was like, I'm about to be able to post the chains breaking free. And instead, it's the chains are still on.
Yeah. She was like, not today.
No.
So I think everyone has a match. The universe will bring you someone really special. Is it really that crazy?
Yeah.
She is maybe tied with Bobby, number one.
Well, now she's number one.
Universe buddy shipper.
Now she's number one.
Jesus Christ. I was so happy. I was so happy and living my life. And
Rachel, come on.
You gotta laugh. It's so. How do you do this?
How do you forget?
I'm living in the present moment, which is
Well, the
3:12
present moment
right
for me is not.
God, that freaking sucks. Anyway, so she's number 1 buddy shipper in universe. Love that. Also, this is like nothing, right? I just thought it was funny. But during the faux poo call, where it's like the little text bubbles at the end, where it's like the love is messy, but it has like the emoji heart. But also, woo, where it's like party and champagne bottle
the
popping
champagne
and
orgasms.
yeah, and I'm sorry, just like coming right off of our. Are you gonna let me finish the sentence? Maybe I should have changed my words. I'm sorry. So we just had our bachelor party dissection drop this past week. So we are still very much like mentally on the bachelor party train and the champagne orgasms. So I just thought it was really funny that love is also like woo canonically. And also the heart emoji, love is messy. Oh, what else is messy? Fucking Eddie's friendship.
Oh, messy and hard between us.
Champagne pop emoji.
Oh my God.
They're so messy.
Champagne supernova.
Okay. All right. Are we at co-parents?
Oh, wait. I had one more thing. It was the stuff with the glass. When at that same call, and when Buck is on the outside of the window and Eddie, or like Buck is on the inside of the window and Eddie is outside, and it's just like really interesting that they are one right in front of each other, right?
I love that.
But they're on opposite sides of the glass window, and we see that come up again in 809 with the locker room when they're on opposite sides, and the whole idea of in 8B like the separated by these walls or partitions and stuff like that. That's all. But they're right in front of you.
Yeah.
From 818. That's all. Now we can go into what you've all been waiting for. Sorry.
Okay, what you all came here to hear us talk about. Co-parents. We love co-parents. We love 2 gay dads. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's so interesting that like Buck, the childless man is who Eddie goes to for advice on Christopher. Always.
And it's the best advice.
And it's the best advice. The best advice. And he takes it every single time. Especially when it has to do with Christopher. Not always when it has to do with himself. Most of the time when it has to do with himself too. But yeah, I don't know. It's just I want to know like how involved Eddie was in making the skateboard. If it really was just like Buck's harebrained idea, like cooking it up in the background, like after they had that talk. And then he was like, okay, I have a plan. Here are the blueprints.
Like we don't get like actual like verbiage about whose idea this was.
Do we get something in Nashville? Not Nashville. Oh my God. Lone Star. That shit.
Yeah, because he's like, because she's like,
when he's talking to Firefox.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, you built him an accessible skateboard. And he says,
I think it was all Buck.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was like
something similar.
Yeah. It made it sound like he credited Buck for that.
Because he'll never take credit for anything.
That's true.
True. But he does give some credit where credit is due to others. So, and also interestingly, that shows up in season 4. So basically it was, we saw Buck's gears turning just like we saw his gears turning in Christmas Spirit to kind of get the idea to put the party together. And he, asked Athena and Maddie to help, but it was pretty much Buck's idea.
And I also think it's interesting that Eddie had this big talk with Chris about how about for a while we try new things together. And just like, who's there by default? Oh, your other dad. Of course he's here.
Yeah. Just like, because season 3 is all about establishing Buck as that second parent that Eddie chooses.
Yep. And Eddie's partner.
as Eddie's partner that Christopher chooses.
Mm-hmm.
And they look so much like a family when they're like, and Carla's the one videotaping.
Yes.
Like, it's so wholesome and cute. And I do think it's also interesting. Like, I kind of want to compare how Eddie treated Anna when he found out that Christopher got hurt with the skateboard versus how he treats Buck after Buck basically almost lost Christopher in a tsunami, and how Eddie was so angry at the situation and angry at Anna. But again, that was coming from a lot of like, it was self anger directed outward at her.
Mm-hmm.
But like, he was never angry at Buck for any of that.
The only thing he's ever been angry at Buck with in regards to Chris is the lawsuit and Chris not being able to see Buck.
Mm-hmm. Like, that is when you look at those, because those are and it's in the same season.
Mhm.
So it has to be in the conversation. So when you look at those kind of together, it's just like Eddie acts so differently when it's Buck. And that was arguably, like with the tsunami, a much bigger deal because that was a natural disaster. So many things could happen. Again, it wasn't Buck's fault. This was not Anna's fault either, but his ire at her was so direct and so like potent. There was absolutely none of that towards Buck. And I think some of that is part of the projecting of female caretaker letting Eddie down, letting Chris down. But like, again, what's the difference? It's a lady versus Buck.
It's a lady.
Because like, technically Buck lost Chris. Again, it wasn't his fault. Neither of these things were
right.
either Buck or Anna's fault.
No, but they were both in charge of keeping him safe at the time. So yeah, you're right.
What is the difference there? But he has so much more like compassion and empathy for Buck because I think he doesn't put that Shannon projection onto Buck, but he does on Anna.
No, because Buck, with the one exception of the lawsuit, has always been there.
Exactly. So that's just like a real interesting comparison. Oh, they're so parent.
They're so
together.
Married.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the tragic single people co-parenting the child together.
Yeah, that's what it was too, because also it is kind of interesting too that you see the two single people. Technically Eddie is single, but like he has this meet cute with Anna. But the two single people that were brought up in this episode at the beginning was Josh and Buck. Josh starts to look for a partner. Eddie shows that he's maybe on the way to moving on from Shannon. We know that's not true, but ostensibly Buck does not start looking for a partner.
No, his only other scenes are with his partner.
That exactly. He doesn't feel like he has to go and enter the apps anymore. Like, he's not trying to manufacture a meet cute or go to a bar and meet somebody because he has Eddie.
Because he has someone
as his partner. His emotional needs are fulfilled, which is funny because they bring it up and he's like, I think it's Chimney that's like, the only woman you've talked to lately is Siri. And Buck is like, well, yeah, she fulfills basically all of my needs except the physical stuff, right? Transpose that and put Eddie in that spot. Eddie fulfills all of Buck's emotional needs except the physical at this point in time. Like, no wonder Buck doesn't feel a need to go back on the apps or meet anyone because he's basically already in a relationship.
Yeah.
The end.
I was just going to say great talk, guys.
I was just going to say one more thing about like the looks that they give each other when they're skateboarding with Christopher. And it looks like two parents who are so happy and pleased that they were able to do something good and wonderful for their kid. Just like so happy that, they found this solution, happy that they were able to make Christopher happy. Just like so joyous in that moment the three of them and just like the looks at each other, because they are looking at each other like, look what we did. I'm so proud of us. I'm so proud of you. I love you. Like, what a great day.
Oh, so married. So not single.
Remember, don't get back on the horse if you don't like horses.
But if you do,
Take a buddy with you.
Thank you for listening to the Buddy System podcast from start to finish.
We literally cannot shut up about 911, so please come talk to us on your favorite social media platform.
We're at Buddie System Pod everywhere. That's BUDDIE System Pod.
Leave a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts to get a personal shout out in the next episode. The Buddy System is a Nerd Virgin Media production featuring music from Divinity.
Can't get enough of the buddies? Subscribe to our Patreon for access to exclusive content in our Discord community.
Catch you next time. And don't forget,
Bring a buddy with you.